Good morning. This is IT Live brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. It's a beautiful Monday morning. I'm here with Eric Nalin and Coach Dub. We are going to have a fun exercise today. This is where, spring ball is getting near. We are going to do the depth chart projections, which I always enjoy. And then also Eric had a little Sark bites this morning on NFL draftees, so we might touch on that as well. But you guys want to start offense or defense?
Let's do offense first because defense is going to be really, really good this year and more fun to cover for me.
Let's do it.
Yeah, buddy.
All righty. Let me pull this over here. And let me pull this up.
And you guys can go get Inside Texas for $1.
Oh, we got $1 running. All right, go for it, guys.
Hey.
When's the official starting date for spring?
The 24th, Monday the 24th.
Monday the 24th.
Yeah, they start spring break. Friday will be their last workout this Friday, and then they're on spring break, and then they better not have too much fun on spring break.
It's time to get active.
Good morning, Roaster. All right, let's start with the quarterback position. Shockingly, it looks like it's going to be Arch Manning. Eric, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's how it's going to play out. Actually, it's going to be a very tough competition.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, he's anointed. It's his turn. He's a third-year player now. That's going into his third year. He's going to be ready. He's going to take the reins. Going to be a very, very good first-year starter. Not your average first-year starter.
Yeah, for sure. We got some good news on him on the inside the program last week too. So it seems like sources close to the program are excited about Arch.
Could not be more excited about him. He lives up to the hype. He's better in a lot of ways than people realize. Like, he's tougher than people give him credit for. He's a better athlete than people give him credit for. Has all the leadership intangibles you expect with a Manning. Just really the complete package. The only thing that he has that's a little bit different is he's going to throw some 50-50 balls. And he's going to be, at times, going to be a little bit more of a gunslinger than you'd expect. But then you go back and, I think Manning threw like 26 interceptions his rookie year with the Colts.
Yeah.
So I guess they have a little bit of that to him. But that's going to be his thing. Can he protect the ball? If he answers yes, then he's going to really be one of the Heisman favorites.
And if he can't protect the ball, can he run for 40 yards and dive in the end zone? He can balance it out. Okay, so we know starters get hurt sometimes. Unfortunately, what's the latest on Trey?
Well, I think Trey's going to be as good as the run game, and that's I wrote an article this morning. It just posted right before we came on, another Sark Bites, where they feel like they're going to have a better run game than they did last year, at least more consistent. And that would be Trey Owens' best friend if he was forced to play. He's got a big arm, kind of that quintessential pocket passer quarterback. He's got decent mobility. But yeah, he's going to be as good as the run game. You need a run game and to take the pressure off of a young quarterback. But they're very high on Owens. That dates back to last year. It dates back to when they signed him. And then we saw him in the spring game last year. Unfortunately, we're not going to see him this year. But we're going to get a lot more reps from him this spring, and we'll get that'll give us a lot more better understanding through our sources.
Cool. And then we got the young KJ Lacey.
KJ, the young gun.
We got to see how everything works out there. All right, running back. We, of course, had our problems last year. Baxter getting hurt. Yeah. Trey Wisner takes over, has to take an insane amount of pressure. We had Jared Gibson, the young running back, that showed some promise, but did some young running back things, right? Wasn't great in pass protection, kind of got limited on the field. But we keep hearing consistently that the coaches really like Gibson as well. So what's the running back room looking like, especially since it doesn't seem right now that we're going to take a running back in the spring?
Yeah, this is the depth chart based on right now. I think if I was projecting further out, I would have Jared Gibson as the number one. We've been reporting that our sources are extremely high on Gibson. Just needs a little bit more seasoning, ball security, better understanding the fundamentals of the position. And he's got all the other stuff: the power, the speed, the quickness. Can run inside, can bounce outside. Wisner's a quality back. Everybody knows what he brings to the table. Yeah. But the spring is all about Jared Gibson, and then the fall is going to be what can CJ Baxter add.
Coach, how do you feel about the room?
That's going to be a fun room. I'm ready to see the the young guys, how they step in and how they play, right, throughout the spring, and how they kind of develop. But I'm ready to see Gibson kind of take the next step. It's good that you wrote about Christian Clark rehab going well. I think we got a picture of him doing some front squats. The IT posted, man, so it looked good. I'm glad to see him moving around and moving well. So I want to see how he comes back off the injury. I think this room can be really good. Just we'll see how the young guys develop, and if Gibson takes the next step, man, baby Rhino could be tough.
Yeah, Clark front squatting is reason for hope. After the Achilles injury, it's going to put a lot of stress on your ankle.
Yeah.
The front squat will. So that's good. Hopefully he comes back, because he was. I mean, honestly, if he wasn't hurt, we'd be talking about him being the most talented guy in the room. Probably even more so than CJ Baxter. But right now, it's all about Gibson, and then the summer we're going to have a couple more variables show up.
Cool. I hated front squats, man. I always felt like my fingers were gonna snap, dude. I had a horrible form, but I did not do it well. But anytime I see those lifts, I'm like, it gives me flashbacks. Wide receiver.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So of course we're super excited about Wingo to return. DeAndre Moore should have slot locked down. And then Eric, I think it was Friday, you were talking about Livingstone and Butler. And you also mentioned that Livingstone's one of the fastest players on the team, and not white guy fastest overall.
Yeah.
And we have the young freshman coming in too.
Yeah, it depends on how you measure it. They measure miles per hour in the program. So a lot of people go by 40. Parker probably wouldn't have the fastest 40 on the team. Obviously he wouldn't, but he's probably number 2 in miles per hour behind Ryan Niblett. Butler might get him in the 40. DeAndre Moore might get him in the 40, but in miles per hour, Livingstone's faster than both of them. So that's encouraging. That outside receiver position is wide open right now. Livingstone is penciled in. You got the freshman in addition to Aaron Butler. Everybody's extremely high on Aaron Butler. Aaron Butler's one of the best athletes in the entire program. He's got hands, route running, speed, all that. He's got a chance to be first, second round draft pick. There's no doubt about it. He's still learning the nuances of it, getting on the same page with the quarterback, diagnosing what the secondary is trying to do with him. You got to read the coverage. So that's really the only thing that he's got to continue to improve on. And then, the freshman everybody's excited about, Khalil Lockett, Jamie French, and Dalen McCutcheon. Can't forget Dalen McCutcheon. The issue with McCutcheon is that he's kind of got DeAndre Moore in front of him, whereas French and Lockett have a more wide open path right now.
Yeah, theoretically, it's easier for them to get some shine.
Definitely.
And then you still think we're going to likely pick up someone in the portal at the end of spring?
Yeah, they'll want more experience. And despite all that room is plenty fast. Don't get me wrong, but they'll bring in another guy that can run.
Yeah, Sark can't help himself.
He loves speed.
Well, he needs 2 draft picks at wide receiver every year. So he's going to have to another guy. And Moore's the only one they have that's even eligible right now. Sure. So they got to get somebody to pair with Moore in the NFL draft next year.
That's true. Yeah. Coach, of the non-projected starters, who are you most interested to hear about in the spring?
Really, it's Livingstone, honestly, but just because I think a lot of people are sleeping on him, on his ability. But if you go back and watch his high school tape, like he's running by a ton of DBs there. You see him playing versus South Oak Cliff. He's running by those defensive backs. They had a ton of D1 defensive backs. So I think a lot of people sleeping on Livingstone, but he makes it known to be wherever Arch Manning is, right? Which every receiver should do if you're smart, right? Pair with the quarterback who gets you the football. And he's going to be that guy, almost a gym rat. He's going to be in there. He's going to work hard. But I think he's going to be a guy that people are like, man, Livingstone's really good.
They're roommates. Once he takes him and Arch are roommates. So
that's important intel, too.
Yeah, we might have some what is Jackson, Jordan Shipley and Colt McCoy.
Throw the football while he's driving by on the boat type situation. Like I think we might see that kind of connection, but I want to see that. But Aaron Butler, Eric has wrote about him. To me, I think he's that special guy. You get the ball in his hands, he's going to make people miss and then go to the house. Like he's a special type of athlete. He's just different. And so I can't wait to see that. But I just want to see the young guys, how they compete and learn the playbook and get up to speed. I think who will separate themselves out of that group. But I like McCutcheon a ton just because maybe he's a DFW kid. So along with Lockett, but kind of been knowing McCutcheon since he was in 8th grade. And I think he has a lot of nuances to his game where he understands route running and things like that already. So I can't wait to see how he kind of develops throughout the spring and how he competes with everybody else.
We got a question from Coach Top. Can French run? Of course he can run. Hell yeah. He's fast. And he's already noticeably putting on some muscle. So I called him a smaller Ryan Wingo. That doesn't mean he's small by any stretch. He'll end up putting on some good weight and probably even continuing to get faster. Back to McCutcheon. McCutcheon and Livingstone were teammates. So that's, That's going to be a really fun room to cover because the question is how many pros are going to come out of that room. You can make an argument that all those guys will be pros. Of course,
I was going to say it looks like all.
Yeah, I think I would guess that all of them at this point. It's real early. I still want to hear more about how these freshman wide receiver are doing against really good corners. Can they win the line of scrimmage? How are they winning? What are they struggling with? But spring football, we'll have I bet you after spring football, we'll know whether or not all three of those guys are pros, as crazy as it is to say.
What do we know about Freddie? I know he got hurt. Do we have any intel there about DuBose?
No, I need to ask and see if he's even participating in spring. It's just a really tough path for him.
Yeah, for sure. I always mention the Aaron Butler documentary, but go watch it. You'll see that Aaron was behaving like a pro even in high school.
Yeah. I need to make a note of that. I'm going to actually make a note to watch that. Aaron Butler.
Watch it. I think it's Overtime or somebody did it, but they did a little documentary of him in high school, and he's like up at the track on Saturdays, like working releases, and like he had a very much a pro mentality. Immediate. It looked like all those documentaries you watch of the offseason NFL guys. So I was always impressed by that. So wide receiver room, super cool. And then we'll probably get us a cool addition as well after spring ball, get some experience in there. Just another Matthew Golden, just another A.D. Mitchell, no big deal.
Yeah.
And then we got tight end. So probably biggest question mark room for me, we have redshirt freshman Jordan Washington, big player, athletic player, NFL player, just young. So we got to see what's going on there. I think Eric in the other piece said he's going to catch like 50 balls. I was hyped when I read that. And then Spencer Shannon, tall player as well. Can he block? Will Randall came in with Arch, not the tier of athlete that we're probably normally used to recruiting at the top end, but is he going to figure it out? He was also dealing with an injury coming in, I think to the knee, right? And then Winston, who a lot of people are excited about too. So this room's unproven, but there's still intriguing elements to this room, right, Eric?
Yeah, it's terrifying. I really wish Nick Townsend would have enrolled early. Now he's out impressing on the track right now, running really good times at his size. So he's going to come in a great shape. No worries there. But there's just no experience there. Jordan Washington, I think, can roll out of bed and catch 50 balls next year, especially in this offense where Sark got Gunnar Helm open quite a bit. Washington's going to get himself open quite a bit. He's a true receiving threat. And I think he's got the ability to be a better all-around talent or tight end than both. I'm drawing a blank. Oh my God,
Sanders and Helm.
Yeah, Jatavian Sanders and Helm. Yeah. And this time change got me a little has me a little slow this morning. I think he's going to be a better all-around tight end than both those guys. The question of when, but at least in the first year, I think he's going to be a better receiving threat. They might not need a blocking tight end quite as much if they involve Arch in the running game a little bit. So we'll see.
Coach,
yeah,
I like pretty well.
Yeah, I like Washington a ton, man. I think he showed some ability last spring game. I know we won't get to see it this year, but if you're not afraid to go up the seam in traffic and catch the ball, I like that type of fearless player, right? I think he can be that. I think Sark could pretty much scheme him open a ton, but I think he can get open one-on-one by himself, kind of like Eric said. I'm ready to see I want to see what Spencer Shannon does. I don't know what's going on year number 3, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So you got a big body, big basketball body, man. I want to see him put that to use, especially in the red zone. I think we can have, you go 2 tight ends, 12 personnel. He can be dangerous in the red zone. Use your big body. And so don't know what Will Randall is health-wise, but I want to see what Amari Winston does. I know he's a competitor for sure. But like you said, man, Nick Townsend is one of my favorites, man. I wish he was there. But you got a big kid like that running. I want to say he ran a 21 and 200 not too long ago. So that's a big tight end who could move himself. So I can't wait till he gets to campus. But I'm excited about Jordan Washington just because we saw what he did last year. And I know the person that he works with and trains with in the offseason. I feel like he's going to be ready. And he's really a mental kid, a cerebral kid who's smart. And I think he understands the offense a lot. Put it all together, I think he'll be great.
Are we in the market? I know we tried to get the Purdue tight end that went to Ohio State. Are we still after a tight end?
Yeah, they're still after a tight end. And that doesn't mean they'll just take anybody. It's got to improve the roster. But it seems like it'd be pretty hard to not find a guy that didn't improve this roster. At least set the floor higher. The floor is way too low in this room.
Yeah, I'm looking for experience would be really nice at the position. Yeah. All right, guys, before we keep going, let's hear a word from Academy Sports and Outdoors.
days like this, the anticipation's half the fun. The call to adventure. Possibilities in every direction.
Look at that.
The stories you'll bring back. Even the true ones. And always, already, you can't wait until next time. From first catch to biggest catch of the season, this is where it starts. Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have fun out there.
Academy Sports. Spring starting. Even
Yeah.
though it's still cold up here in DFW. I thought it kind of tricked us last week. I thought we were getting out of it. Psych. Offensive line. I'm not going to go through all of this. There's a lot of guys. But top line, Gooseby, really excited for him. Really excited to see what Nato can do. He's been in the mix for a year or two now. Cole Hudson coming in, likely at center, right? Is that still the case?
It's going to be competition with Cole. We'll probably do that. Maybe we'll talk competition next week with break those down. But yeah, Cole versus Connor is going to set up the spring. They're very good friends. Connor has been working his tail off, trying to, this is his chance, but he's got to beat out his friend. And we'll see how that goes. Right now, I think Cole's going to get it. That's why I have him there, but it's a competition.
Cool. DJ Campbell returns, and then Brandon Baker or Chapman at right tackle. Is that what that means?
Nope. Chapman is starting over at left tackle. So that was your first team.
Gotcha. Okay.
As you can see in those notes, Connor, if you read below, it says this goes left to right.
Well, just, a semicolon will always get me, man.
Nothing gets me more hyped up when I feel like I've actually been read and understood. So this is morning for that.
That's all right. The semicolon just totally wiped my memory. It's like Men in Black. Okay. And then I want to talk about Kojo. We keep hearing great things about him. What's going on there? Because he came in so young. There was kind of this feeling from me that it's like, this is never going to happen. But then you hear a young player getting a lot of buzz. So what's up?
Well, he was young and massive, so you have to nail the mental eval on that. Otherwise, it's just a total waste of time. And so far, it looks like they really did. He's extremely hungry. He knew that he had to wait his first couple of years, right? He had Christian Jones his true freshman year, and he was in no condition to even come close to starting his freshman year. Like you said, he was 16. And then he had Cam Williams. So he had two NFL guys in front of him, but it really didn't matter who was in front of him because he just wasn't ready. He's just too young and still reshaping his body and learning the fundamentals of it. Now he feels like it's time. He's ready to play. Now he's got Brandon Baker in front of him, and that's going to be tough to beat out Brandon Baker. Brandon Baker just has a much better head start playing at modern day and, just probably having a little bit more technical readiness than Kojo. But I think Kojo's ready to play this year. He's got to compete. Probably not going to win that battle with Baker, but that'll just fuel him further. He looks like a player for Texas down the road. If Goosby's a 3-year player, Baker probably swings over to left tackle, and then you might have Kojo starting at right tackle in 2026, and that would be right on his developmental timeline.
Nick Brooks.
Big Nick Brooks.
Yeah, I was going to say, big player. And he's slimmed down a little bit since he got on campus, right?
Yeah, Nick, the same person that was raving about Kojo's, workouts and getting leaner and moving quicker said the same thing about Brooks. Like, he's been a really quick responder. And that's not surprising. The bigger you are, the easier it is to lose weight. I know a lot of big people don't believe that, but it's absolutely true. The bigger you are, the easier it is to shed weight, bad weight quickly, and gain strength because you already have a lot of mass to work with. Nick is doing all the right things. A lot of people felt he's probably going to end up being guard. That's kind of just stereotyping his body type. I think Kyle Flood always had it in his mind that he'd be a tackle. You could tell by that's the makeup of the class. There's no way he just took 4 guards. But you got to peel the weight off and get him quicker before you start seeing that tackle projection materialize. I think we're starting to see that projection materialize now with him trimming up.
And then what are we waiting on Daniel Cruz to pop? Just young, needs the mental eval to clean up. What are we waiting for?
I need to hear about him going up against guys that aren't 22 years old and headed to the NFL when he's 18. He's playing scout team last year, had 0 chance. Scout team, true freshman center going up against Vernon Broughton, Alfred Collins. Vernon's already married. Jermaine Lole is probably collecting Social Security at this point. Bill Norton's already gone to Turkey to get his hair replaced. I mean, it's just, these guys are old and just had a much, much bigger advantage going up against Daniel Cruz. So I'm not going to speak high of Daniel Cruz until I have reason to, but I also have 0 reason to be down on him yet just because he came into a very tough situation.
Well, I remember Flood loved him. That's why I always keep an eye on Daniel Cruz.
I love him. His high school tape is awesome. He looks like It reminds me of Jake Majors in a way in which the guy is a tackle athlete, just doesn't have the length, so he plays center. But unlike Jake, he could also be a fantastic guard too because he's got some width to him. I love Daniel Cruz as a prospect, but we need to hear about it. Now he's on the field, so who cares about what he was in high school? Let's see how he does going up against. Now he's got some second team offensive linemen. Let's see how he does against this next wave of defensive tackles.
Cool. Any good Nate Kibble news?
Yeah, they love him. He's got a chance to play this year as part of being, they're always looking for 8 or 9 guys that they feel comfortable playing. I think he's got a chance to find his way into that rotation. He's not going to start, but kind of a Kelvin Banks head and a DJ Campbell body. Not quite the athlete that DJ is, raw athlete, but I think he's going to be where he's supposed to be more often than not. I think Kibble's going to end up starting for Texas at some point.
Coach, how do you feel about the room?
If say you got a solid group, I think you just want to see what the 2 deep really looks like. I know it's listed from left to right, and Eric wrote it, that way. But I want to see how they develop it because things happen, right? We've seen it last year. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. Somebody gets hurt. Who's the next guy to step in? So I want to see these guys just kind of compete and get on the same page. I think that's the most important thing. We got a ton of talent, but how do they work well together? How do they communicate together? So this spring will be key in just seeing those guys and developing that true 2 deep and who maybe needs a red shirt. I'm excited. I see that Jordan get a look at tackle first. I guess the part of the triple threat there. I'm excited to see what those young guys can do and how they change their bodies as well. It's gonna be exciting. You got a lot of big humans in there. They really attack this offseason, shed weight, and really start to look the part. I want to see how they actually perform. I think it's gonna be key because you need really good depth in the offensive line room.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of things happen with this. They've got so many bodies. You got to have some guys that wash out and some 3 stars that hit it big. That's just it's a numbers game at offensive line right now. He's got enough. He's getting enough time with these guys finally where we can start getting a real understanding of them. Some of these guys were extreme projects when he brought them in. Now we're starting to see them round into real football players. So spring's going to be fun to cover, not just for the first 5. And I got an article this morning about why the run game is going to be better this year than it was last year, despite losing 4 starting offensive linemen. Trust me, there's a lot of context why, and I got my opinion from somebody else. He wears a polo on Saturdays. So it's there's a lot of reason to be optimistic about the offensive line, but there's still plenty of work to be done. We just got him on the Kibble news.
Yep.
So he's good. Yeah, Kibble's got a very high floor, very good mental evaluation. Jaden Chapman, I'm curious. Some people wonder if he's going to move to guard eventually. Not sure that he quite has the length that they're looking for at tackle. But Chapman's he's a good player. Just needs to keep working, keep biding his time. He might end up being a guard eventually. That would not surprise me. And then let me knock out these punt return and kickoff returns. Punt return is going to be right now. The competition for punt return is Livingstone, Butler, French, and McCutcheon.
I like that.
There you want somebody that you trust, somebody that has toughness, somebody that hopefully can break a play. But number one, you got to trust them to catch the ball. I think Butler makes the most sense there. Like we said, he's got good hands, but a lot of it comes down to concentration and reliability. So you got Butler, Livingstone, French, and McCutcheon, and then at kick returns, right now I think it's going to be DeAndre Moore and Trey Wisner.
Cool. It's always interesting to hear the returners. It always is insightful. And I remember just however many years ago with Herman, we had like 6 offensive linemen. So it's crazy to have 14 here, real depth. And like you said, they're not all going to hit. Right. That's fine when you have this many guys. It's not fine when you have like 6.
Yeah, and they might go to the portal. I would not rule out them going to the portal if they're not feeling great about either their 5 or their 8.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Any final kind of big thoughts on offense?
No, I'm sure we'll have a lot of them leading up into the spring. But right now, I like talking defense more than offense.
Yeah, let's get to it. That's the side of the ball you want to talk about.
We'll get to the premier side. All righty. Defense. All right. Oh, Eric, nice. Got a Cam Newton slide in. Good work. Good lead off.
Did I? Oh, yeah. Culture?
Yeah.
Always trying to dig on somebody, man. It's not fun if you're not making fun of people.
You have to get hyped up like an athlete to write.
Yeah.
You got to do the Jordan mindset, like someone has to fake slight you before you get in there.
What did Cam Newton say about my sister?
Yeah, that's pretty
good. Personal.
now I'm ready to write it, the projections. All right, Jack, strong side end, normally played by our Baron Sorrell. They need to set the edge more than the opposite end. Both need to pass rush, but this is the position that's least pass rushy. And then we're getting some huge bodies here with Ethan Burke and Lance Jackson.
Yeah, it's obvious Ethan's going to be the starter this year. I've got Lance Jackson there at second team. That's because I've got Colton. I didn't put him in here because he's going to miss at least the first half of spring. I don't know how much we're going to see of Colton Vosick this spring. We've heard he's going to be ready in the second half, but yeah, who knows? And then Smith Orogbo is so young and so, on the leaner side that I'm not sure how much they can expect of him. So I think they're going to put Zena over there at Buck behind Colin Simmons, with Trey having moved to linebacker. So this is my projection. It's like the only thing that makes sense to me. But I can't. And also, who wouldn't want to get Lance Jackson as many reps as possible?
Yes, sir.
He's physically ready. He's athletic. He's ready in every way, other than he just doesn't have any experience. So that makes the most sense to me at Buck. Ethan Burke, starter, of course. He's right on time. He could have been a starter last year. They just had Barron in front of him. And then you got Lance Jackson.
Yeah.
Coach Top, that scares me so thin.
Talking about Orogbo, that's fine. Look at the amount of time he has to develop with Colin Simmons in front of him.
Exactly. Zena's still a redshirt freshman as well, so I think Zena could probably play both sides. He's gotten bigger. He probably can play a little bit Jack and Buck. He's going to be a guy that really surprises people. He puts it on. The light bulb comes on completely. I think Zena has a chance to be really, really good at Texas. I think that's a name everybody needs to watch out for.
I think Coach is saying too that it's thin, just the position's thin.
Oh.
When you take out Vosick and if you move Trey to linebacker full time, it might be thin for spring, but not thin for season. You
have Vosick back and you can always move more back. And like Football Junkie says here, now, I really don't understand it when people are so definitive like this. Like they know they will not be, oh, okay, well, shit. Then let me change all my reporting. What's the point of even reporting that Trey Moore's at linebacker? Silly me. But Trey Moore's probably going to play a little bit of a hybrid role. Yeah, because there's times you want Trey, you're going to want Trey up on the line of scrimmage on one side, call it on the other. Anthony behind him, and probably Brad Spence out there too. Brad had 6 sacks last year, I think.
I didn't realize he had that many sacks.
Yeah, Brad Spence might be better suited to Trey Moore's role that we had last year as an edge player. That's what he played in high school. He was a defensive end.
Yeah, he was.
Right now, Brad Spence is in the middle of transitioning to linebacker. That's what they were doing with him at Arkansas.
Zena looks like a totally different dude.
They go back to his high school pictures where his neck is his neck looks like Takeo Spikes or something. It's like this wide. Everything else is going to catch up. It's just a matter of time. That was a great evaluation by the staff. People were high on him early because he was so tall and long, and then he was Neto's little brother. And then everybody kind of dipped out. Everybody except for Texas, it seems like. Great evaluation. He's got exceptional pass rush feel, hands bend, and then feel like knows what to do with the offensive lineman. He's going to be really good. Hopefully, he just needs to keep waiting his time. Those Umeozulus have already proven to be patient. Hopefully, he remains that way.
Yeah.
And I got I think Colin Simmons is going to be pretty good this year, guys. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I mean, he has a chance to be, right?
Yeah, you don't want him coming off the field. So he's going to be everything that he was his freshman year plus some. It's a Will Anderson trajectory to me. He's that type of dude.
He's such a freak, dude. So yeah, I get it. Coach, I get what you're saying. Like thin during spring, yeah, it does feel that way, but I don't think it'll feel that way when we're in season. And like we said, Spence can get rotation there. Trey Moore on third downs, bring him down. So there's ways to kind of fill it out. But man, I'm super excited for Lance Jackson, man. Like that's one of the players that I'm just like locked into their development because it's first round tangibles already.
Yeah, he's going to the NFL early.
And I watched an interview with his brother like 2 days ago, and I was like, man, that's a smart family.
Yeah.
His brother had a 40-inch vertical.
Yeah.
260 pounds.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was freaky. So that's going to be fun. All right. Defensive tackle. I think this is like year 4 of questions at defensive tackle, and it's been answered like every year. So we got to see
year.
This one. So both sides. Alex January, glad to hear it. Transfer Shaw. the young phenom, Justice Terry, Myron Charles, and then you have Cole starting at the other spot. All right, so let's go through the top line first. Alex January, what are you hearing there?
Leaned up, still strong, or getting stronger despite losing body weight. That's what you want to hear. He's going to be quicker and stronger. That's the name of the game. This is I don't know that he's going to start. If I had to project who's going to start in August or end of August, I might go Shaw ahead of him. But this is kind of a sign, Alex. Hey, you're right where we want you to be. You're developing. We're not going to put this new guy ahead of you because you've done everything we've asked. You saw him getting playing time in the final game of the season, so he's got to compete. A lot of competition at defensive tackle. But I love everything about Alex January. I think he's going to be a pro, still maturing. Yeah. And still learning how to become a pro, honestly. A lot of these guys, they mature in stages. He's right where he needs to be. And then Travis Shaw that's a guy, you got him at the right time. Let North Carolina to deal with the disappointment. He was a bust his first year, then he started to look a lot better. And then, this past season, he looked like a future early round draft pick, and that's right when Texas got him. So that's right on time. Kind of the same thing with Canoe, too. Let Ohio State develop these guys for a couple years. We need them now, so we'll bring them over. That's the nature of the game. It's funny when it works in your favor. And then Justice Terry, we got a question over here if Justice Terry is getting reps at edge too. No. I think Justice Terry is going to play defensive end, but more when they're in base, like we saw Alfred Collins and Vernon Broughton do 2 years ago.
Cool.
So I do think he's going to play defensive end. I don't think he's going to play straight up edge like we're talking about with Ethan Burke. They could do that. I mean, they could, if they want to be in base but still play. Like if they want to be in base against a team that's run heavy, they could probably do that. But I haven't heard it yet. They want to get him ready for D tackle. I think his best role this season is going to be as a pass rusher from the interior.
Cool. Real quick before we go to the next line, with Bo Davis' departure, any hope for getting a D lineman from LSU, or does that sit-out rule apply?
I don't think they're going to get anybody. It doesn't matter. When Texas misses on a guy that they're in it for, Sark has a sort of a mindset like, all right, we'll win without you. We'll go get somebody else. I haven't really seen him return to a guy. You could say Isaiah Bond. They recruited Isaiah Bond, but that's they weren't really in the top schools there. It didn't have that sting of all right, you picked LSU directly over Texas. Screw you. I think he does have that mindset. It doesn't bother me at all. But I don't think so. Now with Zion Williams, does Zion Williams wish that he had a more thorough process? Probably so, but I don't think that was necessarily his fault that he didn't have that the first time.
Yeah, that's a bummer, man. I think we tried to warn him, right?
Yeah, that D tackle class with him in it would be awesome because then you got your two guys that you can't move in Sharma and Williams, and then you have two guys that are athletic freaks in Terry and Charles.
Yeah. So how you feeling about defensive tackle now, man? Do you like the depth?
I love it. Just getting Alex January got a vote of confidence from his former teammates who head to the NFL, Alfred Collins and Barron Sorrell, of him being the next guy. If he, like Eric said, if he can mature and just take over, they think he has a chance to be the next one, come through Texans. And so he's putting in the work to do so. You got two veterans and Shaw and Brevard, which, if you look at Brevard's tape versus Ohio State, he pretty much dominated and stopped their run game by himself that game. So he got some ability there. I think under Coach Kenny Baker, like he just a new voice and a new way of teaching me. I think he gets the most out of people. And we saw that last year when people were worried. And so I don't think it'll be a difference this year. But I don't know if anybody else saw the picture of the defensive lineman. They went out to dinner, man. Those are some big dudes, man. I'm looking at Sharma, like he got shoulder pads on up under his hoodie, man. I was like, yo, what is this?
You look at Sharma's legs. He looked like the world's biggest running back. I mean, he's an athlete at that size. It's that room is quite impressive. Quite impressive. They're in a good spot now. They need to get another one. The number has been 4 since they lost to Deere Mitchell. The number at D tackle has been 4 for the portal, and I would add one more. And then that's I like that room. I'm a big fan of Brevard, and I like Shaw as well. I need to learn more about Canoe. We'll learn a lot more about him in the next month. But that room's good. You can win. You can win the SEC and a national championship with that D tackle room.
Definitely.
I like to do that. All right, guys, before we keep going, let's hear from Andre the Lawyer.
This video is brought to you by Andre the Lawyer. If you're injured, trust the team that secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans with their injury case. car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, and wrongful deaths. Don't let insurance tell you what your claim is worth. Hire Andre the Lawyer to fight for you. Principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait and call Andre the Lawyer today at 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. The contact information is in the description.
The line here about Justice Terry will play a lot. We don't know if it's going to be, standard downs. Man, just looking when Texas put out pictures on Instagram of our young players, they look different. Man, like this class of young players, it's like we're in that finally in that top tier of athlete coming in. And just seeing the pictures of these guys, these do not look like freshmen at the top end of the class. It's pretty wild. All right, linebacker, a room that a lot of people are very excited for. Let's start with Mike. Anthony Hill, his final year on the 40. That should be enjoyable. Brad Spence bringing him in, and then Elijah Bo Barnes, who Coach knows well. Let's talk about Mike. How are the coaches feeling there, I guess?
Good. Very good. Hill and Spencer have similar games. Hill is a better athlete, but Spence is a good athlete. Very good downhill players. Both have the same questions. Can they get deep in pass coverage? Hill, that's the one thing Hill's working on. He's working with DB trainers this offseason.
Yeah.
And Brad Spence, that's the same thing that Spence needs to work on as well. And then Bo Barnes, who's a freshman, needs to work on all of it. I like the fact that he's got a year with Hill, and Hill's kind of mentoring him. DFW guys stick together there. And so I think, Barnes has a very good person to learn from. Hill's always been a football junkie. You want that to read, you need that in your Mike linebacker. You want that to rub off on the other guys in the room as well. So, I like that. The addition of Brad Spence, I love that. That protects you against losing Hill after this season too. So you still have competition for Barnes and Spence next year, or they can even play side by side potentially. So Mike's in a great spot.
Coach.
Yeah, I love the middle linebacker room. I know Anthony Hill's leaving after this year, but I love the fact that he's putting in the work to develop and work on pass coverage. But like Eric said, Elijah Barnes is following him around like his shadow right now. And then Brad Spence has a lot of good stuff to his game. I think he can be a great Mike if you throw him in there, man. He's a physical kid. Just go back and watch the tape of him going up against Kelvin Banks on a pass rush, man. Like he was able to stone Kelvin Banks and kind of shock and release and shed him and get a sack on Quinn. So you got a downhill guy who's physical, who can hit. I think you got a good solid room who's played a ton of football in Spence and Hill, and then you bring along the young guy in Barnes.
After that play on Banks, I'm sure Sark made a little note on his little card there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what, dude, whenever a wide receiver catches a touchdown, I just imagine Sark is like, oh, we'll be taking him. When we were playing Mississippi State and we played Mario Craver, that real fast guy, I think he went to A&M, but I was like, hey, man, you better watch out or Sark's going to be quite interested there.
Yeah.
Where did Brad Spence go to high school? I don't know why.
No, Klein Forest right here in Houston.
Okay. Cool, because for some reason I missed him in high school. I don't know why.
Yeah, he was there when Jelani Watkins was there before Jelani Watkins transferred to Atascocita. And they had that running back that was good too that went to U of H, and I forget where he's at now. But yeah, I like Spence coming out of high school.
All right, and then Leonga Lafau, who got his start last year, and then the interesting move of Trey Moore to linebacker. Let's talk about those two first before we move forward. How's that going to work?
Well, I mean, you could literally work. You could play it different depending on the offense. If they're passing all over the field, you want Leonga Lafau. If they're running at you, you probably want Trey Moore out there if he can read flow. But Trey's going to be a better pass rusher than Leonga, and Leonga's going to be better in coverage. So if you want a blitz, bring in Trey. If you want it coverage, you play Leonga. But Trey can also play Sam linebacker. Now, I did ask to make sure that when they said that he's that linebacker, it doesn't just mean he's at Sam, because we already knew that. But no, he's back there with those guys. He's got all the movement skills. He's always had the linebacker movement skills. That's what made him such a threat at edge. He's got quickness that tackles aren't used to. Now, can he play in reverse and in coverage? We hear he can move any way you need to as a linebacker is what we heard. We heard that last January when he first got to Texas, that he's a baller, pure football player, all those things. So I tend to think he's going to be pretty good at it. And if he wants to play in the NFL, that's probably going to be his position.
I'm going to say it also could benefit him in the league. Backing up behind them, Ty Anthony Smith, who we're all excited about.
Yeah.
And then freshman Jonathan Cunningham. So
hold on one second. Let me get to this one real quick. Yeah, I mean, LaFau's problem was he didn't do a great job reading flow last year. At times he overran a lot. He went in the wrong gaps a couple times. His I think he's a little over aggressive at times. Now, of course, LaFau is one of the toughest guys on the team, and he's only going to get bigger and more solid. He'll go head up against anybody. It's more about being in the right place at the right time rather than physicality and how it plays at the point of attack. Got to be at the right place at the right time. I think LaFau is a better all-around linebacker than Trey because Trey hasn't played it all that much. But if I think they want to get Trey to the NFL, it's kind of like moving Barron from nickel to corner. They want to highlight him at his more NFL position.
That makes sense.
But I do think that LaFau is going to start. And, yeah, he's an extremely physical player.
How do we work in Ty Anthony Smith? Because he has a bright future too. How do we get him reps?
Well, they rotate a lot. They rotate a lot at Texas. We still don't know what Trey Moore's defined position is going to be. You could definitely see LaFau and Ty Anthony in tandem. We're not sure yet. Ty still needs to get bigger, but he might have the best feel of playing the position out of anybody in the program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the trick. Yeah. Keeping him engaged because, man, he's going to be fun.
Right. You kind of saw him trigger in a couple of games. He just read a play and attack, man. Like, it's hard. People don't understand playing linebacker next level. You got to read your keys, and sometimes they give you false reads. And so it's like, man, which way do I go? I think we saw a little bit of that LaFau, but you also saw LaFau diagnose and read a couple of plays really well, like Vanderbilt game, Kentucky game, right? He was on the money. So it just takes time playing linebacker at the next level and reading. Make sure you don't have dirty eyes, man, because it can be tough. But I think you got a good group. You got Coach Nansen in that room, man. I know he's going to coach him up, but, man, Ty Anthony Smith is just athletic. I think an athletic freak, man, I think he's that new age linebacker who doesn't have to come off the field. He can cover a slot receiver, but he also, can defend against the run. So I'm excited.
Yeah, he's a stud. Like I said, he might be the most natural linebacker they have.
Star, also known as the fifth DB, the nickel. Starter right there is Jelani McDonald. Man, excited for him. Wardell Mack, Niblett, Caleb Chester. So this is just an interesting position. I mean, all of these guys are interesting. So Jelani, big body, athletic freak.
They want to get Taft, Derek Williams, and Jelani McDonald all on the field together. And what way to do that? Well, put Jelani back where he started his career. When he first got to Texas, they played him at star. So he's got the coverage ability. He's a bigger run force threat than Jalen Gilbo was. Got a lot of length there. He's a natural football player. He's a headhunter. It makes a lot of sense, especially if you're trying to get your best 11 on the field. You got to find a way to get McDonald on. Well, his versatility allows him to play star. So, it makes too much sense to not move him there. And then if they can always get if the other team has a really quick slot, they can always put a more of a pure corner out there in Wardell Mack.
I want to see McDonald in the pass rush too, because that'll be interesting.
Yeah, explosive, long. Very good.
He'll freak quarterback. If you see Jelani hanging around near the line as a quarterback, you're not going to enjoy that.
He's got another gear when he's in chase mode.
He does.
Yeah, so that's I love the makeup of this position. Like you said, there's intrigue with each one of these guys.
Yeah. Wardell Mack, what are we hearing there?
He moved to nickel, around October last year, and he got recruited for this position. It was, you could play corner, of course. That's why we wanted you there. But they like the makeup there for him to play nickel. Now it's a mentally intensive position, so he probably needs more reps. Is he good there for this year playing? I don't know yet. I'll learn a lot more about him this spring. When you're further down the depth chart, we don't ask about you a whole lot. Now I've got to investigate and get to know Wardell a lot better as a nickel. So he's got the length, the mindset, the coverage, all that stuff. When I ask people, does he have the head for it? Yes, I hear that he does. Just needs more experience. I think he's got a bright future. Looks like the star of the future to me, because Jelani McDonald is most likely going to go back to safety next year, I would think, unless Jonah Williams breaks out and it's Jonah. Then you got Williams and Williams back there in 2026.
Sounds like a great
new law firm.
I was going to say Williams and Williams. All right, and then we get Ryan Niblett, who moves from wide receiver to running back to now star. And then another article, I think it was another one where you said he's one of the best pure football players too. So what's up with Niblett?
That was good.
Yeah, this isn't where he doesn't have a home. This is they're trying to find him a home because he has so many of them. He's the fastest guy on the team and one of the toughest guys on the team. So naturally, let's try him at defensive back. Let's get some more speed out on the field. If you look at the fastest guys in the Texas program, traditionally they're always on offense. Maybe that's the case with most programs, but if you got a chance to move some speed on defense, why not do it? Got really good ball skills too. So if you can do all those things as a slot receiver, which he was his freshman year and played quite a bit in high school, then why not do it playing corner? We know he can run with anybody. He's got the ball skills. He can get his head on the eyes on the ball. Let's try it out. He's got the physical toughness for it. So this might be a play for the long term. Who knows? Maybe Wardell Mack moves to corner. We just saw Janae Barron do it. Jalen Gilbo's doing it now. Maybe Wardell goes back to corner. You got Niblett starting at nickel one day.
Oh,
yeah, this secondary in like 1 or 2 years is also going to be very intriguing because now they're like trying to get the young guys reps, because that they believe in these guys. So it's going to be.
We're going to see. I've been saying this a lot lately, but I need to write an article about it. But we're going to see more Texas defensive backs play this season than we've ever seen before.
Yeah, and that bodes well for a year or two down the road.
Yeah.
As well.
We're going to have to start talking about dime more too. So we're going to have to come up with the way we talk about star. We'll probably have to come up with dime.
Yeah,
the way that they're going to use it this year.
Cool.
yeah.
Field corner.
Well,
Malik Muhammad.
First, let me talk about Caleb Chester real quick, just because.
Go for it.
Well, let's talk about these guys that he's rated 87. Nobody cares that he committed, except for the Texas staff that prioritized him over so many other well-known kids. He's doing all the right things. People are speaking very highly of him. Maturity, great size at about 6'1", 190 pounds. Doing everything the right way. So we're hearing good things about Caleb Chester. I think he's got a chance. I've got an article in the hopper. I haven't finished it up yet about we've already got enough data on some of these guys. I think to know that he's going to be somebody that punches way above his ranking.
Cool.
I like that. Hey, I just want to add on Niblett. You go back and look at his high school film. One of his first takes, he's playing safety. He breaks on the ball and takes it to the house like a natural DB. And then you saw him on special teams going running down, hitting people, almost like Trey Wise and so he has some physicality to his game. So the move to star for me, I think it's a good move because I think he can be a really, really good DB because he has all the skills.
Yep.
I like the DBs with wide receiver backgrounds too because they truly believe the ball is equal opportunity. Some DBs are just trying to former wide receivers want interceptions.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a coincidence too that this is happening right after Akina gets to Texas. He's had a history of doing stuff with these types of guys.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and Ian specifically was saying Niblett is a good match for Akina, so that's interesting. Field corner, Malik Muhammad in his third year, looking to go pro. How do we feel there?
Yeah, I already is pro. he's been pro since he was out South Oakland.
That's true, yeah.
The thing that always had me excited about him is that he's got the pro mindset. The guys are eating right. He's just always been a pro. So now it's his contract year. He's become a lot more of a leader, even in the weight room, which caught me by surprise. Yeah, he's doing all the right things, man. When you start losing leaders, the next guys have to emerge, and it's just a natural progression for him. So he's got it. He's ready to roll. There's technically all the corner spots are open, but we can all wink and nod at that.
Yeah. Warren Roberson, also hear great things there.
Well, yeah, he's probably one of the top 5 pure football athletes in the program, but he's got to put it together mentally. Basically, you have a 3-man competition for that boundary corner spot. So Warren, I've got him behind Muhammad just because I'm a bigger fan of symmetry. That helped me get there. But it's really a 3-man competition: Gilbo, Kobe Black, and Warren Roberson.
One I'm excited for, Santana Wilson. I haven't heard a ton about him, but I've had my eye on him. What's the deal with there? And then also Grayson Littleton, crazy high school tape as well.
Man.
Yeah, Santana's had a good year. You can have these good years and nobody knows about it because that's you're not playing, so who cares, right? You're not on the field. But both Wardell Mack and Santana had productive freshman seasons. Both have to get bigger. Wilson's got a chance. He has to keep getting bigger, stronger. He's a good player. It's just a matter of when. It's not going to be this year with Malik and those other guys ahead of him. But after Malik leaves, that room's going to get turned upside down. especially if Gilbo starts this year. You know, you could lose 2 potential starters this season, and then everybody's competing. And they've got they love these guys. Grayson Littleton described to me as I think I've shared this before. I said if Muhammad is a 9 out of 10 at corner, what is Littleton? My source said he's an 8.5, but he's faster. All right, so if you're 8.5 compared to 9 of Muhammad, but you're faster, you have my interest. But you know, he's got it. This year's kind of forget about him for this season, unless he does something on special teams and let him work. But I think they did a really good job identifying talent in that corner class this past year. Of course, Cade didn't take much effort. He's the obvious talent, but they're going to hit on that corner class, and they're going to need those guys because I think it's going to thin out quite a bit after this season.
Coach, how you feeling?
I mean, I like it. I like the move from Gilbo. People don't understand playing star is hard. Like you can go from star, you go out to the corner. I know they're looking for the same. You want the same magic that you got with Jade. I'm not saying you'll get that, but Gilbo going to corner, man. After seeing a ton of football at star, I think he'd be great. I think he'd be a great fit for. I know he played a little bit at corner as his freshman year too. But looking at that boundary corner, man, you got some long, athletic guys who can run, right? And you see Texas has a fit in the mold there. It looks like. But what I'm intrigued about, Santana Wilson, I know he's a pro's pro. When your dad's a pro, sometimes you got that kind of mental makeup and understand the game a little bit more than most people give you credit for coming in. Then I like Grayson Littleton. I like a lot of things he can do. Looking at his film, he was able to identify, you know, I'm playing press man here. Like he was calling out coverages. Then he's special in the return game. Those guys usually are really, really good at locating the football, right? While it's in the air. And I love Warren Roberson. I know a lot of people in DFW do. You know, they talk about him like, hey, he's going to see the field this year. He's the guy. If he puts it all together, I think Warren Roberson can be really good, man. Yeah,
Warren's a bit like Keaton Crawford, where we just keep waiting to, you know, we've heard about his athleticism since day one, and he'll hit. This guy's asking about is he still the gunner? I don't know if he's still the gunner. He was a flag machine last year. I was unfortunate. It was a rough run, rough stretch there for special teams all around last year. But man, Warren is so tantalizing. You want to get him out on the field because he's so fast, so physical.
Yeah.
But yeah, Warren's going to play. Those 4 corners we're talking about are going to play a lot. And Gilbo doesn't quite have the size of those other guys, but he's got the physicality. You know, if you can play star, you know you've got the physicality to play boundary corner.
And we shouldn't worry about Gilbo's speed, right?
No. I'm the same person that told me last spring that, you know, Barron would be better at corner than he would at star. Said the same thing about Gilbo. And I asked, well, what's the speed like? You know, I already felt good about Barron's speed. Dating back to high school, but he said Gilbo's about as fast as Barron. So, all right, I don't know if he's going to run a 4.39, but 4.45. He's going to run 4.45, 4.4. You know, somewhere in that range. 4.45 is league average for the NFL, I think, at corner. So that's speed ain't going to be the issue.
Cool. Safety fun room, and remember this is the spring projection, so no Derek Williams on here. Michael Tapp.
No Jonah Williams, no Jelani McDonald, and no Derek Williams. So it's going to be Coach Taff and a bunch of youngsters.
Yeah, Coach Taff. Yeah. Bill Sami, who we're hearing good things about. Jordan Johnson-Rubel, another player we hear a lot about, and then the young Zealous Hicks. So let's talk about this room also. Like the guys are back in it because we had a question: is Derek's knee recovering well? Then haven't heard anything about. That's good news though. So what's the word with Derek Williams so far? Rehabbing?
No, the expectation for a long time has been he'll be back in June. But you know, them moving Jelani to nickel tells you everything you need to know about how they feel about Derek's recovery. So I mean, I'm not worried about that. You know, still want to hear how he's playing. You know, we'll probably hear a lot more about him in 7-on-7 this summer. Get an idea how he's moving around. He stayed really engaged this past season. You worry about a guy getting deflated after an injury like that when he's in steep competition. He's on the rise. He was playing better and better each week before he got hurt. But he stayed mentally engaged, and there's a lot to gain from that, from being able to watch on the sidelines, seeing what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. So I expect him to have a good bounce back here.
Phil Sami. He's fast too, isn't he?
That's a missile there, man.
I was going to say he's
he was the fastest guy on defense until they moved Niblett. Now it's Xavier's fastest safety by far. Really good build too. It's just still learning. He came into the position late. The reason Texas didn't offer so long is because they knew it was going to take a little bit of time to get him ready to hit the field. But he had a good productive year. He's getting better and better. I think he's going to play this season. So Even with Williams coming back, I think he's going to play this season. But he's got to keep doing the right things. You got to. It might be more in non-conference games where we see him, or some of the lesser conference foes where he plays a lot. But he's right on time. People just didn't have the expectations. We're not matching up to reality because they saw the ranking. Well, the ranking is about what he's eventually going to be, not what he's going to be as a freshman.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
where he'll be in a few years, not day one. And then Jordan Johnson-Rebel, we hear about him all the time. So that generally is going to point to a positive mental eval as well, especially at the safety position. So what's going on with Johnson-Rebel?
Yeah, it's sort of a TAF eval.
Great.
Has all the intangibles. He's a physical kid. Quicker and a little faster than people realize, but just talk about the guy that's supposed to be in the right place at the right time. He's just always doing the same, what he's supposed to be doing. Is as reliable as it comes. Team first guy, has some toughness. He'll hit you. Good all around player. These are the guys that punch above their weight. You talk about the guys coming with a really well-known athletic profile like Xavier Filsaime, who has higher expectations than Jordan Johnson-Rebel. Well, everybody should have higher expectations for JJR early in his career than Xavier, and that's why he's right where he is. He's going to play a lot this year. Like I said, they're going to play more dime, so I think all these guys are going to play this year. But just a guy that does all the right things, sort of like Taft, though. Not quite to the degree Taft's kind of a special dude, but Jordan Johnson-Rebel does everything right all the time, very consistent. You know what you're going to get, and I think he's going to play a lot of Texas.
Cool.
Even with all these freaks coming in, Zealous Hicks is more on the freak end than he is on the guy. Hicks already 6'2", 185 pounds, I was told. I likened him to Lewis Seen that went to Georgia a few years ago. NFL career was cut short due to injury, but tall, longer guy, he knifes downhill. He's a force in the run game, but has a lot of length covering the pass. Everybody's extremely high on Zealous Hicks. Zealous Hicks is going to be a top 50 player in the country had he stayed in his class. And, his rankings drop was only due to because he reclassified. It has nothing to do with his overall talent.
So out of the position rooms, who are you most excited about on defense?
Well, I'm probably most excited to cover the D tackles because I want to hear about Justice Terry, Myron Charles, and Josiah Sharma, because they're not only intriguing because I didn't know them quite as well with them being out-of-state players. The only one I saw in person was Sharma. Yeah. But they need them this year and they need them long term. They really don't have a bridge between the old guys and the young guys, so they have to hit on the young guys ASAP.
Coach, your favorite room?
My favorite room is the safeties. The only reason why is because you can be so versatile with your defense with multiple safeties. You can line up and do so many things. We got the best communicator back there at number 16, so I know he's going to get everybody on the same page. But I'm just want to see how they mix and match everybody, because you have so much talent that you can line up and play against any style of offense. Right? If it's physical, we need to play more pass coverage. Like, you can do a lot with that safety room. So I'm excited to see what they do. Who plays in the box? Who plays deep? Whatever. Who blitzes? Like the whole nine. So much versatility. I love that room.
I like the healthy edge room because we went without, the full edge room, because we went so many years without it. And so that's been a huge.
Yeah, the good thing about Taft is you can play anybody back there with him, because he's going to get you lined up. So it's going to help Jonah Williams see the field a lot more as a true freshman, even though he's playing baseball right now. Having Taft back there, Taft will help Zealous Hicks. Great guy for all of them to learn from. The defense is going to be the strength of the team again, and they feel like I'm about to write up. We've been sharing a lot of little tidbits that we've gotten from people talking to coaching staff. They feel I'm going to write about what has them so excited about defense probably later today.
For safety in the spring is a hell of a lot of reps. Yep. That's the upside.
The young guys, yep.
Yep. And then assuming Taft has another great season, what's his draft stock like? I know it's early, but are we talking second round?
I don't know. I need to know what he's going to weigh. He needs to get bigger. That's really the knock on him for the NFL. He's got pretty much everything else: ball skills, physicality, or physical intent at least. But he can't play his style of football at 190 pounds in the NFL. He's got to get up around 200 pounds.
For sure. Yeah, all right, man. I always love doing the depth chart stuff. That's fun. That's when we know football's getting near. And we're going to have the best coverage on spring ball. Even though we're not having a spring game, it won't feel like that.
You don't need a spring game to know what happened during the spring.
Yep, exactly. Join Inside Texas for $1 right now. Hell of a deal. Coach, thank you. Eric, thank you. Fans, thanks for hanging out in the chat. Always enjoy talking with you guys. And this was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Go get you some gear, guys, for spring. Peace.